everybody. It's Marilyn Wilson, president of REtechnology.com, and I'm super excited today to talk to Dave Herman. If you haven't met him before, he's a pretty cool guy. Does some really neat stuff. But there's two specific releases to Realtor.com recently that I think are both worth noting, and so that's why I wanted to, have Dave tell us all about it. So before we jump in, Dave, why don't you just tell us a little bit about you and your role within the company, and then we'll get into the fun stuff.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time. So I've been at Realtor now, coming on 5 months, so relatively new still. But I lead what we call our consumer business. So if you think of buyers or sellers coming to the platform looking for their next home, the experiences that you interact with is the area that my team is responsible for, including the two launches that you just mentioned. So excited to kind of tell you more about them and get this out there.
Well, it'd be just maybe this is just my personal fascination, but I would love to know how do you at Realtor.com confirm, propose, prioritize the features that you give to the real estate consumer? How do you know? There's a million things you could build on that site. How do you decide where to go first, second, third?
Oh gosh, that's a big question. Honestly, there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and I come from a background of a lot of experimentation, and so that's a big part of how we at least evaluate opportunities. So almost always we're looking at what are we seeing in the data that would give us some indication that there is some behavior that we could build upon or experience that we can offer that helps. And so like the more recent launch with Fly Around was an area that we knew that a lot of consumers like to see the neighborhoods. They like to see kind of what surrounds the home and see a different perspective on a home. And so and we see that through different research studies. And so it became the starting point of an experiment, and the experiment led to a lot of favorable results that led for us to launch it. So we're always looking at ways that we can improve the experience, but like I said, a lot of that's grounded in some hypothesis or some data that exists out there that allows for us to build upon.
And do you talk to consumers a lot about these things?
Oh gosh, all the time. I don't think there's a week that goes by that there isn't at least multiple conversations on a daily basis. And so whether that's people reaching in and saying, hey, we've got suggestions for you through our support channels, or through our we have a dedicated consumer research team that's always talking to customers as well. And that's through customers may come to a realtor and actually see a prompt on the screen that says, "Hey, we're looking for feedback." We do it where we actually capture real-time feedback through their journeys as well. So we have multiple different channels that we use to collect feedback and make sure that we're listening to customers. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great to hear with the since you're carrying the flag of the
Yeah.
industry on your back. That's
Yep.
awesome to hear that. So yeah, tell us more about the Fly Around 360 product. We've had street views before. Um, just, people have drone footage, they have, video, virtual tours. But tell us about how this is different than all of that kind of stuff.
Um, well, like I said, it kind of was started through some research, user research study that really kind of talked to really highlighted the need to better understand the neighborhood, the property boundaries. And so we started to kind of imagine what can that look like? And you're right, there are things like Street View where you might get a little bit at the front of a property or a parcel, but some of that imagery may not actually highlight the property in the way that consumers are really trying to see that kind of aerial view. What does it look like from up above, and what is the boundaries for a given property? And so we spend a lot of time evaluating that, and we've had numerous conversations internally and externally to see how can we best deliver on that value for consumers? Like how can we give them that information in a meaningful way? And
Hmm.
so we partnered with a company called TopHat, and we brought this new technology that's only just launched. And we were part of the Google announcement on Thursday last week, sorry. And we've been working with them for quite some time on this. And what's really nice about it is as the imagery gets updated, consumers who will be able to kind of do this fly around experience through Realtor will be able to kind of see what that looks like in the context of a home. And so any home that's for sale on Realtor, you have the button now to do the fly around experience that takes you in, and then you can go up and down in terms of elevation. You can go left and right as far as looking across the kind of surrounding area. And the nice thing is you kind of get that boundary drawn around every property where we have that parcel information. So you can really kind of see, okay, where does the property line end? Where does it start? What's part of this property? And it's just one more tool for consumers who are doing research to really kind of better understand, is that the home for them? What sort of questions does that kind of lead to? So it's about providing the tools to have more information. And then for agents on the other side of the equation, it really means that they're potentially a much better qualified lead. They've done a lot more research. We know that more and more people are willing to buy homes now sight unseen. And so it's just one of those many tools that we are able to now start providing as of last week to all consumers. And like I said, we've been testing it, listening to feedback, and it's kind of our first iteration towards that.
Yeah, I was actually playing with it because I love this stuff. I'm
Yeah,
a, I'm a real estate website geek. Um, and it was interesting. There was two homes that I saw that were similar in size and scope. One was much significantly less expensive than the other. And by using the flyer around, I was able to see probably why. One, when you went up and over, you saw that they were kind of next to an industrial complex,
right.
where the other one was truly in a fully residential space. And maybe having that industrial complex next door wasn't quite as attractive for some as others, but you wouldn't have been able to, even the street view might have given you sort of the front of the building, but you wouldn't necessarily understand the scale of that. Like if this thing was like a full city block and things like that. So it does really give you a different perspective. And having all the parcels is super helpful too, right? So I understand
Right.
what's for sale. Just properties, websites with only active listings miss out on all the rich understanding of the entire neighborhood and the community and sales history and all of the kinds of things that you guys offer on Realtor.com, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. We're myself and we're actually selling and buying, and so we're going through the process. And for me, at least, as a consumer who is doing it, it's helping me in an area where I've never visited before or
Hmm.
spent time
Hmm.
really better understand what is the neighborhood feel. Is there a lot of homes with one another where there's likely, or is there more where you're going to get the expansion of space? So there's a lot that you can kind of take away as you start exploring it more and more.
Absolutely. And when we've done consumer research at Wave Group, and then you probably would agree with this, Dave, the only word I can use for consumers' interest in more information is ravenous.
Yeah,
They want everything,
everything.
even things
Right.
we haven't even thought about yet. So you've given them this view, you've given them inside the house, you walk around the house, now you can sit on top of the house, now you can walk around the neighborhood. Like just you can't give them enough
That's
angles
right.
literally to be able to see it. So that's awesome. And so it's live across the nation now. Any listing has them automatically, or how does it work?
Yeah, so any for sale home right now, as an
Mhm.
example, has it available. There's two categories we don't yet have it live on. We're still evaluating. Those are rentals and new construction.
Okay.
As you can imagine, it's a little bit more difficult with new construction with a home that's still being built.
Hmm.
You're not necessarily going to capture the what it's going to look like, and so we're evaluating what the best option is there for the consumer. But generally for all for sale properties, off-market properties, so homes that aren't actually on the market yet, or pocket listings, those will all be available where you can see where we have the parcel information, you'll see the line around it. Where we don't, we'll still give you the fly around experience.
That's
And like I
awesome.
said, consumers can interact with that as much as they like as well. So they can zoom in, they can zoom out, they can pan it to your example earlier as well.
I love it. That's great. Congratulations. That's big
Thank you.
news.
Thank you.
It sounds like you're an insider with Google too. That's always a really good thing too. Get some
It's
information.
always good to have these partnerships, and it's a great opportunity for us to launch with them a feature that really kind of amplifies, I think, just the example of how we can bring maps to life.
It's true. And we actually saw TopHat when they first launched probably a couple of years ago now. They're a phenomenal company. They do some really interesting
Yeah,
things. That's a great partnership for you to have as well.
that's right.
Okay, so let's flip over to one that came out I think, just a few weeks ago. I'm not sure exactly when, but you launched, I'll let you use the words. Some people call it plain language search. Tell us about your sort of smart search capabilities you just launched. That's really neat too.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago we launched Search It How You Say It, which is really around for consumers who want to search in a more natural way. It
Hmm.
allows them to start typing in queries naturally. So if I'm looking for a home, I could say I want to 3 bedroom, 4 bath, with a fenced yard in Austin, Texas. And it's able to understand each of the different portions of that search term or search query
Hmm.
and apply those filters naturally for me. So we're really excited. It's a kind of stepping stone for us into leveraging more and more AI and natural language understanding to help consumers
Hmm.
really meet them where they are right now. We see it, we saw a lot of people interacting with our search box in a way that's consistent with what we just launched. And so we're excited to kind of launch this, and it's the first of many kind of improvements that you'll see over time with AI.
That's awesome. And that again, we've seen it too. Consumers are ravenous for information and they don't necessarily just want three bedrooms, two baths. Of course, your site, like many, have lots of filters and other types of things you can add to your search.
Right.
But they want it the way they want it. I think that's the simplest thing I've learned about consumers is they don't really care what we can or cannot do. This is what they want, and they want us to get it to them. So you're
Yeah.
doing that, which is awesome. And it's like you say, it's kind of the V1, if you will, of this. Where do you see it going over time? Like how's it going to get better and better?
Well, we launched with 300 different terms that we supported. And so a
Okay.
term could be a modern kitchen, it could be a fenced yard. Um, the kind of first step of the evolution is for us to get to an infinity number of terms. We really want to understand, based on the data that we get from agents, from the MLS, through the imagery, through the metadata, we're
Hmm.
really trying to understand what is it that we can identify about that parcel, that property.
Hmm.
And so we're going to get better and better and better there. And that starts to bring the opportunity to our what we call listing detail page. And so we just launched a new feature where we have these chips which will show you what we know about the property. But that same technology behind the scenes is being used now to power search. So our kind of first expansion is to really evaluate the feature. We've been live now, as you pointed out, a couple of weeks. And so we've been doing a lot of research in terms of how are people using it, what's
Hmm.
resonating, what's not. And so
Yeah.
we're going to continuously refine, and we've already started to add new features. So I'll give you one quick example. We launched and we didn't have radial search. So you couldn't say from a distance from something. Now you
Okay.
can say, show me properties within a 10-mile radius as an example to Austin as part of that search term. And that came out just by looking at the feedback of how people were using that search experience. And we're going to continue to refine and add new capabilities. So that was one extension. We're going to continue to expand the number of terms that are supported. Just to kind of build on your point earlier, a lot of people may say I have a price bucket or a number of bedroom that they're looking for, but you're not going to scroll through hundreds and hundreds of filters that might exist. And in fact, many people don't even know what filters you can apply. And so part of the promise to our consumers is you will be able to say whatever you want and search for it because we'll understand the intent behind what you're looking for and we'll present the right properties to you. So just know that's going to get better and better over time. And
Hmm.
then we will then look at how do we bring more conversation in. You're kind of starting to tease that conversation as you start that first query. One of
Hmm.
the new features, it's live today on iOS, it'll be launching on our web soon, is you'll be able to do that first query using that natural language understanding. You search it how you say it. The
Hmm.
extension of that will be you can start adding more to it. So we'll understand, okay, this is what you look for, and it got you to a from 10,000 results to 1,000. Then you can
Hmm.
add more to that search, and then it takes it down and down and down until you really find that perfect home, or the opposite if you want to expand it. So we're going to continue to invest. We've seen a lot of positive momentum so far in the weeks that we've been live, and it will be a big investment for us.
I love that. Yeah, you're going to make it really. What I love in general, I've said this before, but I just can't even tell you how excited I am. Is that AI in this context is finally letting us talk to technology instead of like the way we want to talk to it, instead of making us learn the way it needs us to talk to it,
That's
right?
right.
Like
That's
Google
right.
search was like you had to learn, to put the little things and the, like we all had to adapt to it as opposed to this way you're just going to let it, and again, it's going to take time, right? This is all newish. But over time, people will be able to, just probably use voice as well, I would guess, right? And just ask it a question and it will provide you with a very distinct answer. And then just like ChatGPT and others do now, it'll ask you, oh, would you like more on this or less on that? Or would you like to see the flyover? Or who knows, right? It just gets it's super exciting. But
That's right. That's right. I think that the opportunity now we've got the initial kind of launch of this feature is very much there. as I said at the very beginning, it's really for us a question of looking at the data, seeing how people use it, seeing what the opportunity exists. And we're seeing the evolution right now with all the different LLMs that are live, whether it's OpenAI's, whether it's Google's, and so consumers are also being trained in new ways. And so we will be right there at the forefront of these advances in technology to make sure that consumers get what they're looking for. And on the other side of the equation, agents are also able to kind of leverage that information to better understand what their consumers are looking for.
Yeah, that's really exciting too, for you to even help educate, through content and things like that. And what are the things that are the hottest tickets, the things that are most interesting, or the most interesting blend of questions that are being asked, so that agents are prepared to answer those when
That's right.
they get in the car with someone. That's awesome. Okay, good. Okay, now I got a secret question. Anything else that you haven't told anyone about yet that you can tell us first?
Not at this time.
Okay.
We have a lot up our sleeves, and you'll hear a lot more from us over the coming weeks and months as we roll out some new features.
Okay, well, you know where we are, so just let us
Yep,
know. We're happy to have this conversation again.
for
Okay,
sure.
thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate it. And yeah, everybody take a look. Get on realtor.com and try both of these new features out. You'll see they're pretty exciting. Thanks
Thanks for
so
your
much.
time.
Have a great day, everybody.